Hello and welcome back to my channel. Wow, Wednesday, hump day, it's a day and we have an episode for you. We are going to get into it because when I tell you, I think I just caught Blake Lively again in another, I don't know if it's a lie. I don't know if this interview's a lie. I don't know. Very disingenuous for sure. Just another example of how she took a normal conversation with Justin Baldoni and completely spun it on its head, and the complete hypocrisy of it all. I just heard an interview. I'm going to play it. We're going to get right into it. And then we have a lot of other things to go over, like Rihanna at the Met Gala. We're going to talk about, obviously, Blake Lively and a couple of new motions that have been filed and everything kind of going on there with some articles that have just dropped that are highly insulting to women. We're going to talk a little bit about what's playing and what you're watching and go over a lot of y'all's comments. So if you're ready, buckle in and we are just going to get into it, okay? But, before we get right into it, I just want to take a second to be a girl, okay? A little girl, a little girly, because on Monday, I took a night off. I was celebrating. Of course, it was the Leafs game, round 2 against the Panthers, night 1. So I was just having a good night. And then the next day, I realized that someone had left their shirt here. And I got it. And do you know what I did? I smelt it. Like I just did there. I smelt it and I stood and smiled. And then I thought to myself, oh no, girl, you's in trouble. Mandy, you are in trouble. But it was just a little bit of a moment. I just felt like really like girly at that time. And yeah, maybe I am in trouble, maybe not. But after 4 or 5 years or whatever it's been, I guess, I'll just let it stay and keep going and no pressure. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of like a cute moment yesterday. And I was like more giggling to myself about being like girly than I was about like the sweater being left. But yeah, anyway, let's get into it. Grab all of your emotional lip glosses. I have 4 ready because we are going to dive in. You are in frame with Mandy Magnan. The Leafs game 1, really quickly, they're going to be going into game 2 tonight. I won't be able to watch it live, but of course I'll be watching the replays and rooting for the score for another Leafs win. It was an intense game. We were up 4-1. We scored like the first goal within like the first 20 seconds of the game or something. It was very intense. And then, of course, some drama happened, and the PTSD of us almost losing a 4-1 lead was very real. If you know, if you're a Leafs fan, you know. And now it seems like we already have public enemy number 1 on the Panthers, a player called Sam Bennett. What I think was intentional, but of course, I guess it has to be objective and subjective, but he definitely made contact with the Leafs goalie, Anthony Stolarz, which caused him to leave the game about 10 minutes later. You could tell he was knocked right down and then came to a few seconds later. And then within that 10 minutes, he was a little bit disoriented and then he started vomiting and he was pulled from the game. Hall came in to replace him and he did very good. Of course, for the first half of the third, he was, finding his leggings, finding his bearings here, just thrown into the game. But then the Leafs still came out with a win. This is causing, I guess, a little bit of upset because people are like, no suspension, no this. It was, to me, again, personally, I thought that it looked very intentional. But Ned is saying that, he was just getting the puck to the net. And it was an unfortunate accident. So I don't know. We'll see what happens tonight. But I hope that the Leafs goalie, Anthony Stolarz, is going to be okay. And even if he's out tonight, I hope that he's able to make a speedy recovery and join us in Game 3 for the rest of this series. I really thought public enemy number one was going to be Marchand. Of course, Boston Bruins Marchand is now on the Panthers team playing us, and I saw his face and I was like, grr. And if you know, you know. Again, just a little sportsmanship, or I guess poor sportsmanship, or whatever you feel. But no, public enemy number one right now is Sam Bennett. So tonight is going to be a very interesting game, and we'll see how it all unfolds. But go Leafs, go! The Met Gala was on Monday, and yeah, it's stars and blitz and celebrities and athletes and fashionistas and fashion. And there can be a lot of drama. There's a lot of things going on right now with Gucci. I guess she was like having a little bit of a wardrobe mishap, swearing and yelling at all of her team, and the best of the best and the worst of the worst, and everyone's gonna have all their opinions about everything, and da. And all I can say is congratulations, RiRi. There's jokes online right now, a lot of comments being like, you know, the only album Rihanna is about to give us is a family album. Preach, girl. Oh my gosh, I am a ride or die for RiRi. In RiRi we trust.
We're going to be there, and it didn't seem to shy away from them either.
Hi, Mandy in Toronto. I think the testimony yesterday was very damaging, but Rihanna is that girl. And I think ASAP not taking the original plea deal speaks volumes. And look, at the end of the day, all the girlies, we're going to ride for RiRi. And if she's choosing to back her man, we are here for it. And I love that she's out here and doing it so publicly.
Yeah, what a great setup she's got, by the way.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty good. And by the way,
I don't know, but I'm going to get her back, though. I'm going to get her back. She's a thief. She be stealing all my pieces, my favorite pieces, and I got to go steal it back. So I don't remember. It's too much pieces to, like, keep track, honestly.
What do you want to steal from her?
You know, I already stole her heart, so I think I got enough.
I already stole her heart. Oh, gosh. Anyway, huge congratulations. And yeah, they were saying that they had a kind of a big surprise for the night. And then everyone was thinking, it's new music, it's new music. When Rihanna is ready to give us new music, y'all, she will give us the new music, okay? Maybe she is busy, okay? Busy. So I just want to say huge congratulations. She looked absolutely stunning. ASAP was just slaying both of them. Iconic duo. And the moment we've been waiting for. No, I'm just kidding. Nothing really that wild has happened within the court system, within the motions. A few things though. There are three currently. So the Jed Wallace and Blake Lively in Texas, we went over those lawsuits, those motions last week. There has been an extension granted for the response from Blake Lively's team. This is just her and Jed Wallace in Texas. And they have now from May 9th to May 16th to enter an amended complaint or lawsuit. So we'll see if they do that. I'm sure they're going to try at least to once again either get this dismissed and or move it out of the Texas jurisdiction. I don't know. After knowing that Blake Lively first filed a lawsuit against Jed Wallace to prove the smear campaign, and then before he was able to provide the discoveries to tell her that there was no smear campaign, she pulled that lawsuit. I think that now is just going to be such an uphill battle to try to get it out of Texas because she was the one who originally filed it. But we'll see. Those dates are coming out on May 16th. So she has until then to create something, muster up something. Let's see what they come up with, I suppose. And now we come to Marvel. Marvel, what you doing? What you doing? Because this does not seem like what an innocent party would do. On May 5th, Marvel Entertainment LLC filed a motion to add a defense lawyer named Adam Levine. He's going to be on their defense. And I think it is very strange because if you have nothing to hide, why are you adding defense lawyers to fight? All they're looking for is any documents about the character Nice Pool as it is a direct parody of Justin Baldoni in It Ends With Us. I mean, to the extent that Blake Lively, even to just jab one more in there to Justin Baldoni at the end of the credits, thanked, among Bradley Cooper and all of these other people, Taylor Swift, etc., Britney Spears, which is so bizarre, Gordon Reynolds. Gordon Reynolds is credited for playing Nice Pool in Deadpool and Wolverine. And they just want anything to do about that character, and that character is long gone. So it's not going to breach any new secrets or anything else coming out about that character unless you're going to have, you know, Nice Pool has a twin and a triplet and some incest and a big plot twist like that. But that would be very unoriginal, right? So I'm not really sure here why you're being very so uncooperative producing any of the documents related to Nice Pool unless you have something to hide. And now that you're adding a lawyer, I think you have more to hide than you're letting on, because you're not being sued. You're not in any trouble yet. They just want the creative process, any characters, any description. You know what I mean? Produce it, but instead you're adding another defense lawyer so that you don't have to produce it, which to me just yells, guilty! Guilty! And I don't know what you're guilty yet of, but you definitely know something of something, or something, you have something to hide, because this is wild. Speaking of wild, we're going to get into it. Okay, because I just saw a video last night and it just got me thinking. You know, I was jaw dropped, because I don't know if these people know, but as I've been saying for so long, if you just continually let them get to the mic and you just continually give them a spotlight, they are eventually going to catch themselves in their own lies. They're eventually going to tell on themselves. They are their biggest op. Okay, period. Because even Blake Lively, there's now an article resurfacing of where she literally admits that Ryan Reynolds lies about everything. She's also said before in the past that she lies as well, because no one can fact check her. So before I play the video I'm about to play, let's just review Blake Lively's amended lawsuit. Now, this is directly from Blake Lively's lawsuit, her own. And then we're going to tie it all together in a nice little bow. And I hope Brian Freeman sees this, because what another time that she just took something between her and Justin Baldoni, which was probably done in good faith as friends, as co-creators, collaborators at the time, because she was acting like his friend, the way she was texting him, talking with him, hanging out with him, flying with him, late night rehearsals at her apartment with him. Right? But then in her lawsuit makes it seem like these very small interactions were these huge things. So let's just read it, and then we're going to watch a little video clip that I found was very interesting. Before I go into the interview that I watched last night that was posted by a TikToker called It Ends in Lawsuits, which is really good. She's doing amazing work, or they are doing amazing work. And I watched this last night and something came to mind where I was like, ain't no way. But like I said before, you just got to give them the microphone. They're going to tell on themselves. You know what I mean? You just got to let them talk and let them talk and let them talk, and all of their lies are going to get unraveled. And I fully believe that Justin did think that they were building a friendship out of it, because Blake Lively literally acted like his bestie all the way until she got the PGA freaking credit. Okay, so let's just for a second pull up Blake Lively's own lawsuit. This is from her own lawsuit, and I want to read this because it is just crazy how from one set to the next set she really, oh my gosh, I just can't even. Mr. Baldoni engaged in other behaviors that were shocking and emotionally distressing. For example, he claimed he could speak to the dead. on several occasions told Miss Lively that he had spoken to her recently deceased father. On another occasion, when he claimed to have spoken to Miss Lively's dead father, a person whom Mr. Baldoni had never met, Miss Lively attempted to deflect the comment with humor, telling Mr. Baldoni, "Let him know he owes me $40. Mr. Baldoni replied, "Wait, does he really?" Miss Lively was shocked that Mr. Baldoni was pushing the conversation further and replied with another attempt at humorous deflection, stating, "Oh, God, no, he owes me so much more than that." Mr. Baldoni then closed his eyes, put his hand on his heart, and said, "I was leaving my apartment this morning and I reached into my pocket and there was $40 in there and I did not put it there." This exchange deeply disturbed Miss Lively, and it was not, as defendants have since claimed, limited to Mr. Baldoni simply claiming to pray for her father. Right, okay, so there you have it. Talking about the dead dad, talking about dead dads and parents. Oh my God, that behavior on set is shocking and emotionally distressing, okay? Emotionally distressing. And there's another right after, which I thought, for funsies, I put in there. Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath were also constantly hugging and touching cast and crew. I thought that was very strange because there's literally videos of Blake Lively getting out of her car and running up and hugging Justin Baldoni. So like, liar, liar, pants on fire. But let's just talk about this behavior that was so shocking and emotionally distressing. When she's with Justin Baldoni, she claims that, talking about her dead dad was, whoa, crazy, crazy, crazy. Well, here is Michele Morone. I think that's how you say his name. He's doing an interview on iHeartRadio, and he's talking about what made him and Blake best friends. It's 4 minutes long, so I'm going to have to stop and start it, but then maybe I'll just fast forward it too because, get to the point, okay? But anyway, here it is. Let's...
with each other.
Okay, well, I cannot believe this, but what a mess of a video, because I couldn't even play any of that clip, not even a short clip. I was not allowed to do it, so YouTube, yeah, I have to do voiceover now, but basically it might be even more interesting than the actual interview, okay? But he starts by saying that him and Ryan and Blake have become such great friends. They talk every week. Yeah, they're really close friends. Then they ask, "Oh, do you want to know the day that he knew that Blake liked him?" Is because during downtime, were talking about their parents, their dead parents. And he made up some lie, some joke that, as the story goes, yeah, he was mauled. He made up some lie, some joke that his dad was mauled by a lion. And then, Blake didn't believe it at first, but then she did believe it because he kept going on with it. And then he goes on to say, "Yeah, you can't take everything so seriously. There has to be room for banter, da 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 da." It was very awkward. That's to sum it up.
Does any of this make sense to anybody? I mean, the story itself, long-winded. I don't really understand it. You're making, made a lie up about how your dad died mauling a lion. Oh yeah, and then right away Blake was just so sorry and so invested in your trauma. What do you think of that new interview on iHeartRadio? I mean, to me, it just says everything that I've been echoing. Blake Lively took mundane conversations that were based in friendship that had nothing to do with anything, that was just jokes, really, and took them and spun them on their head to say that the conversation with Justin Baldoni was emotionally distressful and da 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 da, but then yet on the other set, you're literally laughing, making jokes, and lying about, dead parents. I just, come on, this just goes to show the type of person and the character that she is. And yet again, I don't know if this is a lie, but it's definitely hypocrisy at its best. And yeah, I just more and more, how many more things are we going to be shown that just states Blake Lively is a freaking liar? The Guardian has come out and made an article, and it is called "It's the Misogyny Slop Ecosystem: How Candace Owens and the American Right Declared War on Blake Lively." Remember Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard? If you thought that was ugly, wait until you see Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni. As the Stars of It Ends With Us swap lawsuits over claims of sexual harassment, the conservative media has picked its side, and it's not pulling any punches. What are you guys thinking? Let me just be super freaking insanely clear, crystal clear, yeah? Just because you are on Justin Baldoni's side does not mean, one, that you are a right-wing conservative, does not mean that you're anti-feminist, does not mean that you want to dismantle the Me Too movement, does not mean that you believe all women, does not mean et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is absolutely horrendous that you would try to pin, again, politics and people against each other, because you know that politics have such a hateful seed, and it is quite, there are some people who treat politics as a cult and not, they follow certain parties because of the political party and not because of their moral alignment, I should say, that you think that this is what is this going to do? This actually is so freaking ignorant. And let me just say this, Johnny Depp and Justin Baldoni are not the same. They're not the same people, they're not the same men, and this is not the same case. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard were in a relationship together, a very toxic, abusive relationship, one against the other. I don't think there was an innocent party in that case. Justin Baldoni, first, is not Johnny Depp, okay? Second, he is not in a relationship with Blake Lively. He was the director and filmmaker who hired Blake Lively, gave her a producer credit. She took full advantage of that credit, wanted to show that she is the boss on set. And her husband took over the movie. And they are actively destroying people's lives in order to get their hands on a franchise like they have done before. Okay? They is not the same. Justin and Blake are not in a relationship. Amber Heard and Johnny Depp were in a very abusive, toxic relationship against each other. It is not the same. The comparison needs to stop because it's absolutely out of control. And now, first you tried the religion. You did that a few times. Didn't work. Then you tried, oh, he's too positive. He's too toxic. It's too positive. That didn't really work because people are like, who doesn't want a nice guy? Like, that's crazy, right? And now you've tried politics before, and now you're going to do it again. This is so highly insulting before we even get into the article on women, especially for women who they think we're just going to blindly follow and believe everything and they're trying to convert us onto the other side. I mean, just let's get into it. Before we get into it, I will just say that this is my second time recording it because my mic was off on this screen on the OBS. So, oh gosh, I'm just trying. You know what I mean? Okay. So they say, remember Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard? It's so easy to see why this case attracted so much attention initially. Everyone loves a good celebrity dust-up, but having begun as just another Hollywood feud destined to be adapted into a prestige miniseries a decade hence, the Lively Baldoni saga is morphing into something larger and possibly more ominous. First of all, this isn't just some celebrity dust-up. This is a woman who mocked and made fun of and was completely tone deaf in her responsibility to promote a movie about DV. And then her and her husband, with all of their dragons, made up a lie about sexual harassment in order to get back and destroy people's lives to take over a franchise. So let's just call it what it is, yeah? Okay? To just downplay it like that is just being some Hollywood feud. This is beyond a Hollywood feud, okay? This is what a powerful people can do to little people, and it's been happening for decades and decades and decades and decades, and it's time for the people have spoken, and we're saying stop, okay? For one thing, the case drags the dark arts of celebrity public relations into the spotlight like never before. For another, it has attracted an inordinate amount of attention from right-wing political figures in the U.S. Combine these two trends and we are seeing a disturbing blurring of lines between genuine and manufactured public opinion and between celebrity and political discourse. Just because somebody, right? Just because, for example, they bring up Megyn Kelly, they also mention Andrew Tate, Candace Owens, we'll get into it, but just because they speak on so many other things, like, for example, Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens, doesn't mean that when we watch them, we're not smart enough to filter through what we need to take. I could watch Piers Morgan and not agree with him on 100% of the things he says, or even 80 or 60, but maybe there's some nuggets in there that I do align with, and it doesn't mean that I'm being converted to whatever his full belief system is. I think it's nonsense to even suggest that. The ins and outs of the saga itself are almost too labyrinth to follow. In a nutshell, it's not a nutshell. If they're just going to be like, in a nutshell, pretty much, Blake Lively was hired on It Ends With Us, and Justin Baldoni sexually harassed her, and then she sued them, and he countersued. No, there is so much more to it, and if you're going to put out a whole article like that, then you should definitely state some of the facts, okay? Because this whole thing is just, it can't be explained in a nutshell because it's so deep. Many Hollywood figures and organizations have come out in support of Lively. List them. Many Hollywood figures. Name me the Hollywood figures that have come out in support of Blake Lively since Justin Baldoni filed his lawsuit against the New York Times and then filed his lawsuit against Blake Lively. Name me all of the many Hollywood figures and organizations. I'll wait. Yeah, nobody has since, okay? Nobody. Why do you think that is? Because when the Hollywood figures actually read Justin Baldoni's lawsuits and understand what is going on, that Blake Lively is lying, there's nothing else to say, okay? Many Hollywood figures and organizations have come out in support of Lively, but America's right wing has taken an inordinate interest in the case and is overwhelmingly siding with Baldoni. Fox News, for example, has run nearly 80 stories on the case on its website this year. Joe Rogan mentioned it on his podcast with comedian Brendan Schaub, accusing Lively and Reynolds of trying to take over the movie. Hello! And then there's Candace Owens, who has discussed the case at least 25 times this year on her YouTube show and podcast, eagerly responding to each new development in granular detail. Owens' allegiance is ambiguous. She has proven herself not to be a kind person, she said of Lively in January, and that's largely due to the fact that she is a modern feminist. Okay, what? It's so unbelievable. Then it goes on to say, who may have little interest in right-wing politics or knowledge. So, like, Candace Owens has boosted her whole channel, and a lot of people are watching, including women, mostly women who might not be interested in right-wing politics, but who have, oh my gosh, anyway, it's so nuts. But anyway, by focusing on such celebrity content, Owens has boosted her following considerably, appealing to viewers, predominantly female, who may have little interest in right-wing politics or knowledge of her more extreme beliefs, which range from downplaying the Holocaust to appearing with Kanye West, etc., etc., etc. Yes, just because she is right-wing, she is also doing a lot of things with celebrity. Like, she breaks a lot of different stories. Doesn't mean that I follow every single story of hers or listen to every single thing she has to say, especially when it comes to politics. But then also she, morally aligns with a lot of things like Free Palestine and the things happening and ending the genocide in Gaza. So, which is not aligned with the right-wing party. So if you're going to say something so blatant, I mean, we're smart enough to know what we align with morally. I hope anyway that most of us can discern and filter out what we believe and what we don't, and the end of political propaganda and any propaganda, be it PR or whatever you have it, we can kind of see it. And then, of course, they bring up like Megyn Kelly, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And again, you don't have to agree with everything that people say. I don't think that everyone should agree with what I say 100% of the time, and I don't think people do. I'm not asking you to. Viewpoints change, things change, and I don't think that everyone agrees with everything I say in my videos. Like when I talk about the Leafs or my movie reviews or TV reviews or how I feel about this case or even certain things on this case, we think. In the same way, the manosphere has used male-oriented sports and fitness content as a gateway into a far-right politics, some are seeing this new celebrity focus as a way to draw women down the same path and calling it the women's sphere. Who has said that? Who has said that? Anyway, they go on to say that in social media, the overwhelmingly discussions are from anti-lively point of views. Content creators have been in a feeding frenzy over the case. There are celebrity gossip tea channels, body language experts, AI-powered pseudo-journalism, all supported by an army of mommy sleuths, laptop detectives whose examination of every nuance of the case often verges on conspiracy theory. Is Lively out for revenge because she was secretly in love with Baldoni? Is Lively's new comms manager, Nick Shapiro, a former CIA agent using black box tricks? You said it, not me, but yes. To stifle negative stories? Did she burp and fart all the time on the set of Gossip Girl? Oh my gosh. I don't know. Did she? It's been reported that she has. Did she burp and fart on the set all the time of Gossip Girl? Content scrutinizing Baldoni's behavior or background of similar detail is much harder to find. Yes, because it doesn't exist. Because Justin Baldoni is a good guy. He's on the right side of things. He stands true in his faith. He's generally trying to create positive change. He's supportive. He's loving. He gives back to communities. You won't find it exactly because he is a good person. He's actually a good guy. Do you think that at this point, whatever was out there about Justin Baldoni, we would have found? My gosh, of course it's not there because it doesn't exist. Because who are the monsters in this case? Who are the powerful monsters? They're on the screen. I'll give you a little hint. All this activity has whipped up a maelstrom of clickbait, content creators, celebrity media, and prominent public figures feeding off each other's output, recycling and regurgitating the same low-quality, primarily anti-woman information, all boosted by engagement, targeting social media algorithms. Misogyny slop ecosystem. But I feel like, and then they interview some people, and I'm not going to get into the YouTuber that they interview and the data analyst that they interview. The YouTuber they interviewed, she has a video making fun of Flaw, saying that she's a mean girl. A lot of her videos are, I would say, anti-women because they attack other women. So I don't know, not really like proving your point here. However, but I feel like around the same time of the Depp versus her trial, there was this real increase in social clout, almost in making fun of women who are alleging abuse. No, we are not making fun of women who are alleging abuse. Okay? It is so far from that. We're not even making fun of Blake Lively for alleging abuse. She's lying. She lied. All of her claims have already been disproved and they haven't even hit court yet. All Blake Lively needs to do right now is start running up that $400 million check and closing this out and going away. Okay? This outrage is from her lying about ongoing repeated sexual harassment, being proven that it was a lie, and now coming out as an advocate for women and using all women and our actual pain and trauma to rebuild her brand. Do you understand? That's where the outrage is coming from. All of this feels like a long way from Lively's original complaint, which was the Baldoni was abusive towards her when filming the It Ends With Us resumed after the actor strike in January of 2024. So that's already not true because she didn't claim that he was abusive towards her after it resumed. Actually, she says it was in the first phase, which she only was on set for 16 days, and all of this stuff allegedly occurred. And then after filming resumed, she says that everything was fine. We've been here before, and not that long ago. In 2022, the entertainment world was gripped by another trial of the century, Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. The similarities are striking. A famous woman alleging abuse, a famous man counterclaiming victim status himself. Again, they are not the same. A similar picture is emerging with Lively and Baldoni, says Zuhan Chen, founder of social media data analyst Information Tracer. Chen helped investigate the Depp Heard online activity, and he has been looking at Lively Baldoni. In his analysis of the top 500 tweets on the subject, he found that support is overwhelmingly pro-Baldoni, sharing hashtags like Blake Lively is a liar and hashtag justice for Justin Baldoni by a ratio of 1 to 150 to 1 to 300, depending on which metric you use. Judging by the age of the accounts and the number of times they have posted, I would estimate more than 80% of pro-Justin Baldoni posts are inorganic. Or maybe people now are just starting to use their voice to speak up, and maybe women who have been silenced and, have been violated are coming out now to show support for Justin Baldoni because they are tired and outraged that Blake Lively is making a mockery of real life pain and trauma. This is a right-wing multimedia campaign that is about painting women as inherently lying and manipulative, says Bennett Weiser. That's why people say Me Too has gone too far. That's what Andrew Tate says. Who freaking bleeping cares about Andrew Tate? OMG, they're pulling everything out. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. That's why radicalist young men say that women are trying to manipulate them. They're liars. They make false accusations. Their whole goal is to ruin men. That is the broader cultural context in which this case and the media attention to this case starts to make sense. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Because other women since Blake in the public eye have come forward. Okay? Actually, Giselle Pellico during this time was having her court trial. You know what I mean? Like, this is absolutely insane. While privileged white women like Lively and Heard might not be the ideal torchbearers for all victims of abuse, in this context, they are painted as avatars for modern feminism and leftist overreach. All the better to contrast them with a more traditionalist conservative ideal of femininity. Oh gosh. I did not consider Blake a modern feminist at all. She even says that she literally said on the tour of It Ends With Us that she resonates and she defines herself as toxic masculinity. What are we talking about, guys? Like, get your facts straight of who you're going to be writing about. Nobody really knows who is telling the truth in the Lively Baldoni saga. Yes, we do. That's actually not true, because if you read the lawsuits, you would have a better idea of who exactly was telling the truth. Whatever the outcome, the battle being fought right now outside the courtroom on social and mainstream media could be more significant in terms of women coming forward as victims of abuse and sexual violence, especially, but also in terms of how much we trust what's presented as popular opinion, and by extension, how easily it can be manipulated, whether in pop culture or in politics, assuming they're still two different things. And if any women are afraid to come out, do you know who you can blame for that? Blake Lively. Okay? When Blake Lively first came out, and what the Me Too movement was designed to do. Let me just backtrack. The Me Too movement was designed to, one, bring awareness that women are being violated at an alarming rate of 1 in 3, so that women that does happen to are not afraid to come forward, so that, one, the police and people will believe them in order to bring it to trial and to investigate, to show that it is done so commonly that they take it serious and that they believe them. Okay? when Blake Lively fabricated this story in the New York Times that was dropped, and the story went out worldwide, that's exactly what happened. People did believe Blake Lively. Why would she lie? Why would she lie about something like this? So they did believe her. Until you investigate, until you start getting the facts, until Justin Baldoni says his side and comes with receipts, until you break it down, you investigate, you see what's true, what's not true. Do you know? So if anything, she has harmed the Me Too movement. And if the Me Too movement is breaking down, you have one person to blame, and that is Blake Lively. And of course, her main dragon, Ryan Reynolds. But anyway, what do you guys think about this article? Obviously, y'all know my opinion on it. I just think it's so distasteful. To just make it really, to me, seems like what they're trying to do is say that women are so stupid, and that if we listen to anyone speak on this matter who are right wing, that we are going to be brainwashed into eating everything else up that they talk about. And it's just like, I don't know. I just think this is absolutely so stupid, really, if I'm being honest. And what's so interesting is The Guardian, you've posted on the It Ends With Us 8 times since December of 2024. So maybe Candace Owens, because she does these kinds of stories, it was 25 times, but you've had 8 articles come out now. Just because your coverage and your viewpoints are a little bit different from everyone else's and or aren't the same doesn't mean that, you're not eating it up too, because 8 times you've now made an article about It Ends With Us and Blake Lively. It is wild that the Guardian article put that out there, as well as this interview with, the actor from Another Simple Favor who plays Blake Lively's love interest. The whole thing is kind of like, at this point, a joke, because we already know everything that we need to know, and you are using now politics yet again to try to divide us. But the truth is the truth, and the truth will prevail. And what these people have done in the dark will come to light. It already has. It's already being told. And yeah, just enough with that, because there's also now TikTokers coming out saying that they are being silenced. They views the videos that they've posted regarding the subpoena and the subpoena gate. Any of those videos that they've posted on TikTok have been silenced for copyright infringement, even though it's them, like a talking head video like this, what I'm doing right now. It's them talking about the subpoena. Those videos have been muted, and they are not allowed to, try to get it re-uploaded. So no, Guardian, I don't think the outrage is only because Blake Lively is a woman. It's because these people are absolutely insane, okay? Insane. My gosh, get with the program, okay? Get with it. There are just some people that we need to say good riddance and goodbye to in Hollyweird. Kanye West being one of them. Kanye West, a lot of people say, is spiraling, or he's having an episode, or this is who he is, okay? He's absolutely right now, I think, completely unhinged. He just did an interview with Piers Morgan, which lasted about 5 seconds, because Piers Morgan got his follower count wrong. I guess Kanye didn't like that, and he walked off. Then he has beside him Sneeko, this guy. What is going on with Ye? And what I will say about this topic is, I find it very interesting that Miss Wendy Williams is being locked up right now in some conservatorship, and it's so easy, it seems like, to put women in these kind of positions when they start speaking their mind. However, you have a man like Kanye West, who people are still interviewing, giving the microphone to. This man is unhinged. This man needs to be taken away. His social media needs to be taken away at any cost at this point, because the rants he's gone on, the things he has said about, here I am defending Kim Kardashian, but about the mother of his children, all of his rants, everything that he was doing, is absolutely diabolical. Like even creating shirts that Cassie was wearing when Diddy beat her in the hotel room. That's just one thing. I mean, I don't even want to pull up some of his tweets because diabolical, disgusting. I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't know why we're still giving him a platform. And Kanye, I mean, your insecurity is showing that you're willing to walk out of an interview because he got your following count wrong. Like you're still so obsessed with how many people follow you. Ew, it's so gross. But here's just a little clip of that very bizarre, very unhinged Piers Morgan uncensored interview with Kanye West.
Grateful for the opportunity to try and talk to you about some of this. How would you say your life is at the moment?
I mean, you see that view?
Yeah. Your life is good?
Like, it's already so, I don't know what anyone takes this guy seriously, but the message that he is sending is very dangerous considering he does have millions of followers. And he says, you know, some of it I was like, at the beginning, I was like, okay, sometimes he speaks a little bit of truth, but now it's just gone a little bit too far. And there are children involved, especially now that he is hanging out with Andrew Tate and Andrew Tate's brother. You have Sneeko there. I mean, these people, not good people. He has a teenage daughter. I mean, ugh.
Well, judge it on the view as the answer to how my life is. Judge me by the view.
Well, the view is Mallorca. I've been there. It's a beautiful place. And for all intents and purposes, you seem very relaxed and happy. That is in direct contrast to your public image at the moment over the last couple of years, led by your ferocious... Well, hang on, let me finish the question. Led by your ferocious use of...
No, but I already disagree. It's not in contrast. There's so many...
He goes on then to not really say much of anything and cuts the interview short and just like walks off, leaving Sneeko there to like... It was just so bizarre. What are you doing? Like, oh my gosh, how are people like this still able to be interviewed and have such a huge platform and be idolized? And it's just so gross, gross, gross. You're losing it. I mean, he's been losing it. He's not good morally the way you cut it. If you've read any of his tweets, if you've seen any of the things that he's been saying, I mean, it's just so weird. And Piers Morgan literally didn't say anything wrong. And he was just left there being like, okay. Like, what is going on? That's very, very strange. And Piers Morgan's having a week, you know, because this man, like, whatever you want to say about him, you know, maybe you don't agree with everything he says, everything he does. Again, I'm not here to convince you to think however you want to think, you know? I'm with you, whatever. However, when he came out a few years ago and was talking about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, and they did that big Netflix special, and he stood up for his royal family. And at the time, he was on a very successful show. He brought the show to #1 in ratings. And because he was saying bad things about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, he lost everything, or seemingly lost everything. They gave him a choice to retract his statements and or be fired. And he left that day and he started his whole new thing. And all he was saying is that they were disingenuous, they were lying, they were shaming the royal family, etc., etc., etc. Now, fast forward to this week where everyone is kind of waking up to what he was saying years past, and he was absolutely ostracized for what he was saying at the time. And he stood by it, and he stood by his values, and he stood by protecting the royal family and their name. And this week, I would say that's a little bit of a win, you know, morally, when you stand in your truth and your power and you're not willing to be swayed or bought. And then now he does this unhinged video with Yee. I'm just like, what is going on? I just thought that was like a funny little thing to kind of put in there because, yeah, crazy. I don't find it entertaining anymore. I think it's very strange. I think it's weird. And now that, you know, there are children involved, and yeah, I just don't think that he should be around anyone. I think that he should lose his his toys, which is social media, and get some help. I wanted to get into a little bit of what you watching, but I think I'm just running out of time. So we'll get into that on Friday. It will be a good episode, of course. Now, just to wrap it up a little bit, let's go into some of y'all's comments because I'm loving this community and I love all of the comments and the feedback. And here's just a few that I've spotlighted over the week. This is a comment from @Leechro29 talking about Mr. Ryan Reynolds and all of his new endeavors and businesses that he's been starting while Wayfair has decided to close its doors. He says, or they say, he's definitely shoving his power down our throats. His vibes are truly scary. I don't say psychopath lightly, but that man has some deep-seated issues and insidious evil crap going on in his head. Yes. Yes. A couple of these comments I thought were pretty good. Thank you, Lee Jewel, who wrote, Mandy, I think today's episode made you my #1 favorite. You're so warm and a rare, genuine find. I can't wait to see whatever you have in the works. You definitely inspired me as well. Girl, thank you. That's what I'm talking about. We are here for it all, baby. Inspiration too, you know, it's not just right-wing propaganda gossip tea, you know, or whatever the Guardian wants us to believe. We are full-fledged human beings on our own journeys. Then Yaya Bolender says, great video. I want to tell you to be careful with these two, BL and RR, especially as you want to continue your career in the field. I'm afraid that they could be very hurtful. So even though I would love to see everything you have under your sleeve, choose yourself first. Now, I really wanted to respond to this comment because I am so aware that when I started this in December, bringing it to YouTube at the beginning of February and continually the deep dives, that I would have to make a decision between wanting to be cast, accepted, loved, maybe brought into Hollywood, and work with these people whom I am speaking of. I had to make a decision, and I am fully aware of that, but I love what I'm doing right now. I love the voice that I have and the community that I'm building, and I am just open to where this is going to go, and so far this is where it's led me, and I don't get to decide the how it's going to work out. I just know that it will, and I think that if the people I choose to speak about still don't want to work with me because I'm spitting facts and truth, then those are people I don't want to work with either. And I don't think I want to surround myself by evil Hollywood elites. I think I would like to work with passionate, genuinely caring, loving, artistic people. But yes, it is scary every day, and it has been. And I think that somewhere in January there was a fork in the road, and I chose this, and I'm still choosing it every single day. And these two comments as well. Leo I'm so sorry. Leo, can I just say that, please? Leo states, I don't understand why BL and RR are investing so much time, effort, money, and energy in these PR stunts if none of them will alter the evidence shown, and more evidence coming from Baldoni's legal team, and none of those PR stunts will alter the perception the whole world has about them already. It is actually causing the opposite effect in the public. Even my grandma hates them now. I love that. I love that for your grandma. Wide awake, are we? It's amazing that all of our eyes are open to these horrendous PR stunts. All these PR stunts are the equivalent to try to put the yeast in the bread dough when it is already in the oven. Sorry guys, too late. Nothing will change the outcome of your wrongdoings. I love your channel. Thank you for your work. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here and for this, you know. My mama don't like you and she likes everyone. Yeah, well, his grandma don't like you, okay? Because we all know the truth, all right? Then Miss Fox's Plans says, I think Justin should come out in the public now and show us he is okay and start working again, so we can show him that we support him and he is not going to stop defending himself against the false allegations. We are here for you, Justin. We will support you any means necessary to make sure that the evils of these power couple and the evils in Hollywood do come to an end, or at least come to light, so that we could know and are aware of it. Because bruh, this ain't cool what you guys are doing, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. We see you now for the people that you are, okay? We see you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm a little bit nervous actually to even hit stop on this video and go back to editing it, because I noticed halfway through that my mic wasn't working. So I don't know what I got and what I didn't get and what I needed to record and re-record. So I'm kind of like already feeling a little bit angst about it, but I think what is meant to be will be, and the video will work out. So if it doesn't and y'all are here and you see some glitches and stuff, it's too late. I can't do nothing about that, okay? I'm just moving on with my day. I need to go eat lunch now, go and work, come home, edit it after work, and put it out. So, I mean, it just is what it is, and sometimes it's meant to be and sometimes it isn't. You know, the magic flows and then it doesn't, whatever. I hope y'all are having a great day, Wednesday, hump day. I do have a quick story that happened to me yesterday with a man in the elevator that I thought would be a good way to finish it off here and share with you. It is a great example of energy and, you know, what you're radiating out into the world and what comes back to you. And so just quickly, I was in the elevator yesterday, caught the elevator. There was a man in there. It was a very beautiful day yesterday. The sun was shining. It was one of the nicest days we've had so far in 2025. I got in the elevator. I see the man. Like, he held it for me. So I was like, thank you so much. I was like, how was your day? And immediately, without him even speaking, I just knew there was a dark cloud around him. But then he was just like, oh, you know, another day. So stressful. It's just been such another stressful day today. And I was just like, okay. And I could have chose to engage in that and been like, I know, man, did you see the price of groceries? And got into the trap, but I didn't. I was just like, okay. And then he said, how was your day? And I said, actually, I've had a really great day today. It's been a good day. And he was like, why? And at that time, I didn't have a reason as to why it was a good day. I was just like, I started going over my day, like what had made today so good, and there wasn't really anything. I was just coming from running errands, which is not very fun for anybody. And that day I hadn't really done much. I kind of was taking like a little, yesterday was kind of like my off day, you know, to get my weeks going and et cetera, et cetera. So I was just like, well, I woke up today and the sun is shining. It's so beautiful out there. So that's, you know, that's a good day. It's a great day. And then he was like, oh, yeah, I guess. I mean, it is nice out. Maybe I'll go out. I was like, okay, well, keep your head high. Have fun. Hang in there. And I left. And it's not to say that, of course, you should be honest with yourself and confide in people about your stressors and not be, I'm not saying be delulu and fake or anything, but just that energy, I knew right away, as soon as before he even spoke, that he just had such a heavy presence. And I thought to myself, if that's the energy he's carrying around, like, oh, like, and he's so willing and freely to share that with me, a stranger in the elevator, that's exhausting. And if you're walking around with that all day, oh, stressful day, it's just another day, it's another miserable day. I think he did use the word miserable somewhere in there as well. Just miserable, everything's stressful. Guess in return what the world is going to give you. Guess in return what more stuff is going to happen that is very stressful. Because that is, the energy you're giving. So just be very careful of, one, how you're walking about in this world, two, your perception of your day, and the energy that you're exuding out into the world, out into strangers in elevators. What energy do you want back and matched to you, and who? Be very aware of who you're sharing time and space and energy with, because it does matter. Okay? It all matters. So I'll just leave that with you. And yeah, don't be afraid to disengage or walk away from conversations that aren't aligning or don't match with your vibration. And of course, I'm not talking here in a sense of like family and friends come to you with stuff, you know, or you have to actually deal with life because life is lifing at the time. This is just how you present yourself and how you view the world, in order for the world to view you back the exact same way. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I hope that made sense for someone. And I hope, honestly, at the end of the day, this video works out, you know? But drop your comments. Drop your comments about that interview on iHeartRadio because I found that to be very deceptive and hypocritical of Blake Lively. But of course, my opinion. Thank you so much. Have a great day. I will see you on Friday. Thank you so much. Love you. Bye.